So there was this big, tough samurai warrior. Any of you guys know a samurai warrior? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay. And you see, he went to go see this little tiny monk. And he went up to this monk, and in a voice that was accustomed to demanding obedience, he said, "Monk, teach me about heaven and hell." The monk looked up at this mighty warrior and replied with utter disdain, "Teach you about heaven and hell? I couldn't teach you anything. You're dirty. You smell. Your blade is rusty. You're a disgrace. You're an embarrassment to the samurai class. Get out of my sight. I can't stand you." The samurai was furious. Would you be furious? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was furious. And he shook, and he got all red in the face, and he was speechless with rage, and he pulled out his sword and raised it above him. And he didn't cough. And as he was preparing to slay the monk said, "That's hell." Softly. And the samurai was overwhelmed. And the compassion and surrender of this little man who had offered his life to give this teaching to show him hell. He slowly put down his sword and filled with gratitude and suddenly peaceful. "And that's heaven," the monk said. Two powerful lessons, all within one instant. The samurai's world was expanded because in that moment of his understanding of the world shifted, which meant that his beliefs about life shifted, and his life was never the same afterward. Oh, I wish all turning points could be that simple, don't you? Well, whether they come as a shock or as a chosen decision, we find ourselves facing some sort of physical, psychological, financial, or emotional crisis sometime in our lives. However they come, turning points are moments of transformation, and they can be the most important moments of our lives. To quote Julia Quinn, "In every life there is a turning point, a moment so tremendous, so sharp and clear, that one feels as if one has been hit in the chest, all the breath knocked out, and one knows, absolutely knows, without the merest hint of a shadow of a doubt, that one's life will never be the same." These are the moments in our lives when the world calls our bluff. Game of pretending is over. All masks of pretense come off, and there is nothing left except facing hard truths with pure honesty. It is the moment when we drop our blinders and we see things for what they really are. Reality shifts. Our beliefs shift. The meaning of life shifts, and the world changes before our very eyes. In our reading, William Murray talks about the importance of commitment in the face of a turning point and helping to create a turning point. He says, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. It takes reaching this point when you have had enough and you become completely dedicated to change the way that you see the world. Something has to change. For many of us, this takes time and builds, perhaps over years, perhaps over a very long time. Perhaps it's the need to change a job. Perhaps it's the need to change a relationship. Perhaps it's about health. Murray reminds us that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issue from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no person could have dreamed would have come his way. Those are the great turning points. And not all turning points are that great. But we can create ones that are. And I don't think that he's talking about magic or some supernatural power necessarily. What he is saying is that when one finally dedicates him or herself completely, the answers and the solutions and the support that were there all along can now be accessed, and one's entire life turns and changes, often at a surprising rate. The physician and therapist Rachel Naomi Remen tells a story about a young man who had bone cancer and points of turning for him. His leg was removed at the hip to save his life. She started seeing him in therapy when he was 24 years old, and he was very angry and bitter. He felt a deep sense of injustice and a very deep hatred for all people, all well people, because it seemed so unfair to him to have to suffer this terrible loss so early in his own life. I can understand that. And she worked with this man through his grief and rage and pain, using painting, imagery, and deep psychotherapy. After working with him for more than 2 years, there came a profound shift. He began coming out of himself. He began to see the world differently and became committed to seeing a new way of life and to living a new way of life. And that is when he began to have an impact in the lives of others. He began visiting people who had experienced severe physical losses, such as himself, and he would tell the most wonderful stories about these visits. Once he visited a young woman who was almost his age, and it was a hot day in Palo Alto, and he was running in running shorts, so his artificial legs showed when he came into her hospital room. The woman was so depressed about the loss of both her breasts that she wouldn't even look at him, wouldn't pay attention to him at all. The nurses had left her radio playing, probably as a way to try to cheer her up. So, desperate to get her attention, he unstrapped his leg. And he began dancing around the room on one leg, snapping his fingers to the music. Now just get this picture in your head. This guy with one leg, jumping around a room, dancing to a song. She looked at him in amazement and then burst out laughing and said, "Man, if you can dance, I can sing." And in that one instant, that one crazy act, he changed her perspective. So often, turning points come from the influence of others at just the right time. Our own personal transformation touches the lives of others in transforming ways far beyond what we will ever know. Just as this young man's transformation allowed him to help this young woman. I guess what I'm saying is that it's contagious. The more we change ourselves and take on the turning points that help us grow, the more we touch the lives of others. in positive ways. You see, this young man sang this woman's song back to her, inviting her very soul to start coming back to life, even if it was just the song on the radio. This act is the essence of humanity at its best, and the turning points that bring us alive and remind us how to sing our own song. And the song of our soul creates more turning points in others, which creates more turning points in others. By healing ourselves, we heal the world, and we reunite the broken pieces. Now, not many of us can take off our artificial leg and dance around. But most, if not all of us, can think of times when we too have helped other people feel better, and how we have had the privilege of helping others. These are not the easy moments of life, but it is in these moments when we are fully awake, authentic, honest, and most alive. The great humanitarian and Unitarian Albert Schweitzer talked about this when he said, "In everyone's life, at some point, our inner fire goes out. It is then burst into flame by an encounter with another human being. We should all be thankful for those people who rekindle our inner spirit." And isn't that the point of this faith community? To be a place where we come together to rekindle each other's spirit and to build a flame that is so powerful that it brings great light into the world as a beacon of hope. And yet, Rachel Naomi's remnant story about this young man is not over. She goes on to tell us that it was a year following this that we sat down to review our work together. He talked about what was significant to him, and then I shared what was significant in our process. As we were reviewing our 2 years of work together, I opened his file and there discovered several drawings he had made early on, and I handed them to him. He looked at them and he said, "Oh, look at this." And he showed me one of his earliest drawings. I had suggested to him that he draw a picture of his body. And he had drawn a picture of a vase. And running through the vase was a deep, black crack. This was the image of his body. And he had taken a black crayon and had drawn that crack over and over again. He was grinding his teeth with rage at the time. It was very, very painful because it seemed to him that this vase could never function as a vase again. It could never hold water. Now, several years later, he came to this picture and looked at it and said, "Oh, this one isn't finished." And I said, extending the box of crayons, "Well, why don't you finish it?" He picked a yellow crayon, and putting his finger on the crack, he said, "You see, here, where it is broken, this is where the light comes through." And with the yellow crayon, he drew light streaming through the crack in his body. He had learned that we can grow strong at the broken places. Recently, I came across a definition of enlightenment as living completely congruent with one's highest beliefs. Yeah, well, it's a lovely, lovely notion to think about. Maybe not quite so easy to attain. Of course, you're probably all pretty much there, right? Yeah, got it. Not a problem. On to the next thing. But it takes a lot to come even close, especially if one doesn't even know what one's beliefs are. How can you be congruent when you don't even know what you truly believe? You see, this young man had discovered that congruence. And the more that we discover our own congruence, the more our light shines through. And this is what calls us to those turning points, to become more congruent with our beliefs each time. Now, a core belief that I often struggle with, and I know that many people do too, is the belief that the problems of the world are simply too big for us to change fast enough. Often when I listen to the news, I can't help but feel despair and helplessness. And I don't like the way I feel when I give up or hide or stay in denial, because I feel like I have better things to do in my life and a better way to spend my life than being in a helpless state of despair. Yet sometimes I can't avoid it. And I feel really angry because I want to do something. But what can I do as this one tiny person in the midst of our world's problems? And this is where my faith of Unitarian Universalism steps in. There is a unique and beautiful aspect of Unitarian Universalism that is at the core of who we are. And if you consider yourself a Unitarian Universalist, then you too have agreed to this. No, it isn't some statement or a creed or a statement of faith. It isn't some litmus test of beliefs. Our religious ancestors rebelled against such things hundreds of years ago. We are not a creedal faith. Instead, we have a covenant, an agreement with each other for how we choose to be together and how we choose to be in the world. Together we said our covenant statement just a few minutes ago. Our 7 principles is also a covenant that we have with all the congregations in our Unitarian Universalist faith. And it begins, we the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association do covenant to affirm and promote. Now I'm going to read these, and you can think to yourself whether you agree or not, because it's your choice. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, not just the ones we feel like. We covenant to promote and affirm justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We affirm and promote acceptance of one another and the encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. We affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We promote and affirm the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within each of our congregations and in society at large. And we affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And our last, we promote and affirm the respect for the interdependent web of all of existence, of which we are a part. Did you know that you had agreed to these? Again, this is not a statement of belief. It is an agreement between each and every one of us and all of the other UUs out there. And if this is what we agree to, doesn't that call us to become congruent with what we say? Unitarian Universalists all over the country, all over the world, have committed themselves to wrestle with their own beliefs and to do their very best to live in congruence with them in the effort to uphold our agreements. Reaching out to others with an honest and caring spirit is the very essence of how we live our faith. All of these are about relationship. They're all about how we are together in the world. Our agreements, our covenants guide us to become better people. And we are not alone in the world at all, facing the impossible. We are a part of this covenantal faith built on the very notion that the way we relate to each other and to the world is sacred and holy. And now you, who are High Plains Church, Unitarian Universalist, have agreed with each other and have made the commitment to create a turning point in the life of this congregation by choosing to engage in developmental ministry. As your developmental minister, it might surprise you to know that I am not here to make your goals happen. Hey, wait a second. I thought that's why we hired you. No, I am here to walk with you on this journey as you make your goals happen. As a covenantal faith, we are in this together, and this is the essence of shared ministry, and none of us can do this work alone. That is not what our faith is about. Turning points come when we face truth with honesty, and turning points come with commitment. So I will be honest with you. I still find myself wondering if you are really ready for profound transformation in this church. Or do you want to stay comfortable? Are you here to be a beacon, beautiful beacon of spirit-filled light, rekindling the spirits of so many desperate people out there who need you, need this community? Or would you rather stay small? I have been with you for 4 months now, but in those 4 months, I have seen you and your potential, and the potential that you have for amazing possibilities. And I'm not sure you see it in yourselves. Maybe you don't believe that you have what it takes to change the world around. But I see that you already have it. I have no doubt that I see it in you. I've seen a lot of congregations. Not all of them have it. You do. You have what you need to live into your developmental goals. And if you choose to make them happen, you have the power to transform this church, which will in turn transform the lives of countless other people. But the choice is yours, and the power lies in your hands, not mine. We have this time together right now, and I am asking, will we make the most of it? In the words of William Murray, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. So my friends, may we have the courage to invite those turning points into our lives and into this church. May we make the commitment to ourselves and to this church community to turn our world around, beginning now. May we walk out that door this morning with the boldness and courage to live our dreams, for the world needs what we bring when we are fully alive and fully engaged and working together as a congregation. I'm going to sing you a song that sums this up, in my opinion. I invite you to join with me after I sing it for you. We're on holy ground, right where we are. We're on holy ground, under this shining star. We're on holy ground, When we reach for each other with our hearts, we're on holy ground. We're on holy ground, right where we are. We're on holy ground, under this shining star. We're on holy ground. When we reach for each other with our hearts, we're on holy ground. So in those moments in the future, when things get a little uncomfortable, remind yourself, this is the holy ground that we walk on. May it be so. Amen.